How's it going, everyone? This is Mod King, and I'm bringing you instructions on how to set up your PlayStation Classic. And this is for those who have purchased the USB kit from my online store. So without further ado, let's get started. Now the first step you want to do is go ahead and plug in the USB drive. And this will be the 16 gigabyte drive. Yours will be black. For the sake of this tutorial, this one is blue. Now the entire setup and backup process that's going to take place is roughly about 3 minutes or so. I'm not going to skip through it. I want you guys to see the entire process, the whole how many lights are blinking and how they function. And if you want to skip through it, that's fine. But I do want to give a short disclaimer. Do not unplug the power or the USB drive during this setup. Even when you get to a point where there's going to be a solid red light, if your screen is still on, if it doesn't say anything about restarting, it will shut off by itself. So don't unplug it or try to restart it at all. Just let it do its thing and it will restart itself. Now this process is called the power modification. So basically, because your front USB ports are only designed for your controllers, you kind of have to modify them so that your flash drive will receive proper power in order for it to run properly. And you only have to do this one time. So once this is done, you don't have to repeat it every time you plug in your drive for your games. This is a one-time thing, and that's it. And like I said before, this setup is roughly about 3 minutes or so. So feel free to skip through these steps if you want to just go to the end. Alright, so now our system is solid red color, and we want to leave our flash drive in and our console on, and we'll get to a point where it says your console is going to restart in 5 seconds. And then once it shuts down completely, that's when we're going to restart our system. And there we go, we've reached the end of our initial setup, and the system will not technically restart. It's gonna shut off and it will stay off, so the light will come back on, and now we can go ahead and turn our console back on and we'll finish this setup. Alright, so now that our console is restarted, it should boot us into our boot menu. And there we go, we see the boot menu and we see RetroArt and Bloom Sync. So now let's go ahead and take a look at what we have in RetroArt. I don't know if I mentioned this in the description, but there are a couple of games on the 16 gigabyte flash drive as well. Just a little freebie, you know, just for kicks and giggles, I guess. So if we go to this menu, as you can see, there are a couple PlayStation classics, roughly about 30 of them that you can, you know, mess around with, play around with if you would like. But if not, you can stick to the other flash drive, which has all the other roughly 300 PS1 titles on there. So now let's get back into our next phase of the setup. Now we're going to turn off our console and we want to swap out our blue, well in your case black flash drive for the red 128 gig flash drive. And this process, you don't really have to watch the lights on this one. You just basically turn it on, let it do its thing. It's going to do a little backup. It's not going to take as long as the first one. It's just roughly about under a minute or so. And then it's going to boot you into the boot menu as well. The difference between this boot menu, Retro has more emulators on there, and BleemSync has the full 300 or so PS1 classic games on there. While we are waiting for this backup process, I did want to give a huge shout out to modmyclassic.com for the wonderful job they have done with bringing these mods to these PlayStation Classics. I think it's a great little system. Complete crap if you're just going to use it for the 20 games, but with this modification, it can take your console to the next level. Like I said in the description, there are thousands of games on the emulator side, about roughly 300 games on the other side, and I love it. I've tested out a couple of games. There will require some slight modification, adjustment to the settings if you're going to be using the included remote for games on the emulator side, such as Mario Kart, things like that. Since there's no analog sticks, you kind of have to make some adjustments there, but not too much of a biggie. And setting up themes, this should okay, and there we go, boot menu. And let's go ahead and take a look at RetroArt again. I'll just give you a brief rough breakdown of what's going to be included on there. And if you go down to our menu, you will see that there is a list of emulators, bunch of games in there for your enjoyment, game playing. And there's roughly about 30 emulators in there packed with ROMs. And if you exit RetroArt and go over to BleemSync, and I'll show you the games that are on that side as well. It'll take a minute to load up. And there we go. There are all of the PS1 titles. And that's it, guys. That's basically all you have to do. Like I said, the first drive, you don't have to run that again. If you want, you can put that in and play those 30 titles that are over there. But once you've done this setup, you can basically put your flash drive in the back of your console using your OTG cable. If you have any questions, feel to drop me a message. I mean, I love to help out where I can. If you have any suggestions, any game suggestions, just shoot them to me. And just happy playing, happy modding, guys. Have a good one.